Okay, in this video I am going to show you how to set up a nurture program using Microsoft CRM workflow. And there are a number of ways you could do this, but the way I'm going to do it to make it easy on the sales team is I am going to put a field, which I've already got here on my contact record, to specify a nurture track to add somebody to, so that a salesperson can pull up a contact record, put the person into a nurture track, save the contact record, and then have that nurture track begin to execute. So I've created a field called nurture track, and it's got two values. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a workflow to send emails at predetermined intervals. So I've already got my email templates set up in the email templates section of ClickDimensions, so I know what content I want to send out at these intervals. And now I simply need to create a workflow, so I'm going to call this nurture track A, and I'm going to put contact by it, since this workflow will be for a contact record type. And I will click OK and make it just a blank workflow. And so what I'll do is I'll set this so that it will be fired when a record attribute changes. So I will select the field on the contact record called nurture track and tell it to run this workflow and inspect that field every time it changes. So I select nurture track. So now it is going to fire every time the nurture track field is changed on a contact record, which is great. And so we have to tell it to look and make sure that that field got changed to value of nurture track A. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to ask it to check a condition. And so my condition is going to be was it set to track A? Because that's the case where I'm going to kick off my workflow. And so I'm going to come in here and say, was the contact nurture track field equal to the value of nurture track A? Okay, so now it is going to check that, and then if it was, I want to execute a step to send out that first email, and I'm going to send that out immediately because I want them to get that email as soon as I opt them into the track. So I will add a step here that will happen right below this first check condition step, and I will basically tell it to create a record, and I will call it send first email. And the way we send a ClickDimensions email in workflow is very easy. We simply select the send ClickDimensions email entity, and then we set the properties on it. So the properties are simply the subject. So we will say this is email 1, which we would give it a better subject if we were doing a real example here. And then we will select the email template. So I will select nurture track 1, and then I'll specify who it should come from. So I'm going to tell it to come from the record owner, so it will be a personal experience. But I'm also going to put a default value just in case one of my CRM users doesn't have an email address on its record, which is unlikely, but let's be safe and do that. And then I need to make sure that it goes to the contact. So I simply select the contact field and tell it to add that dynamic value so that whatever contact record is that this workflow is being run on will be used. So I'll save and close that. So my first email is being sent. And so then at the same time, I'm going to add a condition to wait, and then I will wait 7 days before I send my next email. So to wait 7 days, what I need to do is again, I selected that wait condition under workflow, and I simply come in here and I tell it to wait 7 days from the time the workflow timeout equals, and then I come over here and select 7 days after the workflow execution. So this part is not necessarily user-friendly or intuitive as far as Microsoft CRM workflow, but it does work. It shows you how to do it. And so again, I'm selecting the workflow field here, the timeout field here, making it equal to, and then my value is simply going to be 7 days after the workflow execution time. So when I click execution time, it adds in this clause to wait 7 days after execution time. So now it will wait 7 days. Of course, it'll check the condition immediately. If the person is set to nurture track A, it'll send this first email immediately. Then it'll wait 7 days. And then after it has waited 7 days, then I want to send another email. So I just come in and I add another step to, again, send another email by creating a record. And I'm going to say send second email. And so 7 days after the workflow is kicked off, I will send a second email by, again, clicking the Send ClickDimensions email entity, setting the properties. The subject, I will say email to. The template will be the second piece of content, that I want sent. And then again, I'll tell it to come from the record owner to make it a personal experience. And I will select myself again. And then in the contact field, I will make sure that it is going to be addressed to the contact. So now I've got a nurture track that is going to send an email, wait 7 days, and send a second email. I'm going to do one more here just to make sure that we get the hang of things. I'm going to come in and add another wait. And I am going to now this time wait 1 month. So this will be 30 days from the execution time, so roughly 3 weeks from the second email. So the person will get an email immediately. A week later they'll get an email, then 3 weeks later they'll get another email. So I've got a nice spacing there, which is what I want, just to kind of keep in touch but not bother them. And so again, I'll go through the same steps. I will select this wait until condition. And the same thing, I will select workflow. I will select the timeout, so basically the time since the workflow started. I will set it equal to, and then 1 month after the workflow execution time. So again, when I click execution time, I get this 1 month after execution time. I save and close that, and then what this will do is once I've waited, I want to send another email. So I'll select this row at the bottom. I'll again add my create record step, and I will, send my third email. And it always helps to make these steps descriptive, where I will again select send ClickDimensions email as the entity type. My properties will be set for whatever subject I want. I will select my template. I will make it come from the record owner. I will put my backup value in there. I will select, to make sure the contact is the recipient. That's a dynamic value, whichever contact the workflow is being acted on. And now what I've got is a workflow process that is going to send an email, wait 7 days, send a second email, wait a month, send a third email. And all these waits are from the initial time that the workflow was fired off. So now all I need to do is click Publish. And once I've published this, my field on the contact record will be ready to spring into action anytime it is set to nurture track A. This series of emails will start and your drip program will be in place. Thank you for watching this video.